Oh, here we are, another beautiful morning, 61 degrees, first week of October. So I got an angle iron bracket installed to hold the winch and the pillow blocks. The winch is just on there loose right now. It's slotted so it can make up for the distance I need to tighten up the chain. I've got some spacer blocks for the pillow blocks so that they can space out the shaft so it stays level. And I'll just have to tack weld them in place. If you've been following along, you know I reused the shaft off my log turner for the log stock. Now this really isn't shaft per se, it's just round bar. So it's just a little bit oversized, so I got to clean this up to be able to go into these 3/4 inch hubs, which are exactly 3/4 inches. There's a hair over, but not much, a few thousandths. So I have to clean this up. I need 2'6" more inches to get through that third log stop. So I'll clean that up with an angle grinder and a tiger disc, and it shouldn't take long. So to couple these two together, I'm just using some 3/4 inch sprocket hubs. And they got 2 set screws in them. Needless to say, I'll change these short set screws out and put the extended length set screws in there with the extended points that I'll drill into the shaft. There we go. Okay, so I have these 2 shaft hubs. I got them tightened down onto the shaft so they're aligned with each other. I'm going to weld them together down the center here to make a shaft collar, essentially a long shaft collar or a shaft coupling. So I'm going to drill this for the extended point set screw, and this is the long version. Let's see how well this works out. See if I can hit this center. Oh, and I'm already messing it up. There we go. It should be it. There it is. There we go. So when you go to grind these pins so you can push them out, don't try to hold it with your hand. Put it in a vise or something of that sort. It makes it so much easier. And just be real careful you don't come back and touch one of the ones you still need. Alright, so we're essentially taking 4 inches out of here So the pins that we just ground, we're going to put the tool on there. As long as you keep it straight up and down, it pretty well aligns itself. You're not going to be able to push this one all the way out to begin with because the other one's still holding it. So don't get too crazy with it. Just get it started. There it goes. That tool makes it easy. We got a master link here. We've got to pop that loose. There we go. Put the cover plate back on. Sometimes they can be a little bit of a pain to go back on. This one went on and off pretty easy. Make sure the end clip here gets lined up to the slot. You can kind of get it started a little bit. There it is. And push it on. That's it. Alright, to put the chain on, just feed it from the top. You can feed it right down this back side here. You can reach in here and grab that stud and pull it through. Don't worry if it's on the teeth or not at this point, but right now I have it there. And just feed it all the way through. Bring the stud back in through the top hole. Screw the nut down. Now you can feed this back through below this chain. You're going to have to lift it up and then let that stud fall down. There you go. If you can see that. You just pull it on through. You can feed that through there. And you're going to put the other nut on. At this point, you can start tightening this thing up. Don't get too crazy with it now. You can start at the top and then go back down to the bottom and get the bottom. But kind of holds itself because it's on those sprockets. It'll twist a little bit, but it'll tighten up. It won't hurt anything. Alrighty, we're going to go to the bottom, get the bottom some. You want to even this thing out. Don't get crazy and get it all on one side. You can sit there and go try to pull it up and you'll see how tight it is. That's a little too much. That's putting a little too much bind on that rod. So back that off a little bit. You'll have just a little bit of play in there. That's really what you want right there. Now see how you can run that up and down. I might tighten it up a little bit here later on, but you don't want this thing binding that rod. There we go. There we go. That's a little better. That's about it right there. There's maybe a quarter of an inch right there. Alright, I'm going to do the other two. I'm not going to film those. I'll come back when I do the alignment of the sprockets, because every one of these has to be in the exact same position as far as vertical up and down. I want them all square beforehand. So I'm going to do all that, and then I'll take care of the sprockets down below, because that's essentially what's going to do your alignment, as far as all of them being at the same height, is setting every one of these sprockets the same. You have some play in how you tighten these, but not a lot. Okay. Okay, as you can see, I've already pulled off the log turner to do the changes on it. But right now, what I'm working on is how to install the sprockets onto a cast spool. This is a cast aluminum spool. Can weld on it. Alright, I'm going to show you what I did wrong here and what I'm going to do to change it. I actually had the new sprockets to be able to put on this other way, but I chose to go ahead and use a split shaft collar with a sprocket tacked onto it, or welded onto it with plug welds. So the sprocket broke off of the shaft collar. So what I'm going to do instead is I've already got a sprocket. It's got a 1 1/4 inch hole in it, which is what the hub on this is. So to be able to get this one on here in one piece, I just got to take this outer flange off. Alright, I got the bulk of it off. I just got to take off these little angles, little edges. So I took a flapper wheel on a grinder and took out the ID a little bit, so this slips on here now. So this is going to be a little hard to show, but I'm going to do my best, because what you got to do is that split axle collar, you got to kind of rotate it where everything's going to line up where you can have a place to weld and not affect all your screws. But you have 2 set screws on the hub of the sprocket. So you can see one of the set screws there, another set screw there, and then there's a set screw for your split collar. It's not quite 180, but close. And then on the back side is where I'm going to tack weld that bottom piece of that split collar. So you can see that the rear log stop is about even at the very top, which is about where you expect them to be, which means this stop plate right there is about 3/8 of an inch above that piece of channel. What it's doing is actually hitting a weld back on the back side of that plate, and that's what's stopping it. This one here fell down quite a bit further, and so I need to raise that one up. And of course this one, I've already stuck a little piece of plate in there to see what it was going to take to make it level, and it's 3/8 of an inch. So I cut some small pieces of 3/8 inch bar, and I'm going to weld them to the bottom side of that plate. So as you can see, they're all sitting where they should be, real close to each other. Fortunately, the first 2 sprockets line up where I drill one from the top.
I'll just tighten the other one up, and then we'll turn the whole thing, and I'll drill the other one. This one, they're both on the bottom. One toward the inside where there's no way you can drill it. So what I'm going to do there is I'm going to tighten those set screws up, and I'm going to tack that sprocket into place. And then when I rotate these up with the winch, I'll drill them and put the extended length set screws in. So there's no sense trying to fight it at this point. I kind of figured I may have to put a single tack on the front side on every one of these anyway, just for insurance. Well, you know it's fall in Texas when the sunshine hits you, and that heat from it actually feels good. It's a little cool here this morning, but we'll take it. We love it. For all essential purposes, mechanically complete. And I'm starting on the electrical. The only thing I've really got left over here on the drive gear is I've only got one set screw drilled. I got to wait till I get the electrical hooked up to where I can turn the system to where I can drill the other one. So right now it's all about electrical, so I'm going to lower this box. What the chance is this will snap off? There we go. Well, I've got it wired in, so I figured I'd take you on a quick walk through how it ended up. There's your control panel with everything marked out. There's the winch and the solenoid down there. I did have to cut that one bar. I don't think I'm going to weld a piece across there. Don't really think it's needed. But if I see any type of deflection happening with that back plate, then I will. But I'll be honest with you, I don't think it's needed. So I'll put an extra pillow block right here on that next stay. I didn't like that long span there without some support from the axial loadings on that rod. And of course, you're looking at the back side here. I'll flip around to the other side. And you're seeing a power log dog there. All I got to do is on the back plate, I've got to trim a little slot in there because I left a whole big piece hanging down there. I got to trim a little slot in there for it to fit over that. I only need about 2 more inches, so just a little slot and it'll all come forward. So not too bad there. And there it is right there. You can see them. They're all in. And so I'm going to get on the controls and show you what it looks like. All right, log stop up. What's going on? Oh, I don't have the winch engaged. Let's try this a second time. Log stop up. So there we go. All three of the log stops are up. And let me pause it here. There you go. That's full up. So let me pause it here and we'll see what the total measurement is. So this one right here is 15¼ inches above the deck. These two are 15. I'm not really going to worry about that. They're all square right now for the most part. If I'm going to have one a little higher, I'd rather it be the first one. When I ended up drilling the holes on these two, they dropped just a hair more than that one did. Like I said, I could probably pull these up a little bit, but I'm not going to worry about that. The other thing that is originally I was trying for 16. I didn't really take into account how much this was going to be down below the top of this bunk. And the other factor is a stud on the bottom comes up and hits the sprocket, and that keeps you from coming up as far as what you think you would. So I could have just cut 3 inches off instead of 4 inches off and left 16 inches above the bunk. But I tell you what, 15 inches, I got a challenge whether you really even need 15 inches above the bunk. So as far as I'm concerned, that's good. I'm good with that. Because when it comes down to it also, you know, you can cut way back here along the edge back here. You know, these are way inside your cutting area of your mill. So when you have a big log on here, these things are going to have to be retracted down, and they're going to have to be catching the arc of the log rather than the side of the log. And it'll still hold it, but you know, you'll be holding it right here on this 45. So I think it's going to work out. I'm looking forward to using these rather than those old falling type log stops that I had on here. These are going to be much nicer. I think that one needs to be tightened up a little bit. That one's good. So I'll tighten that one up a bit. But yeah, they look pretty good overall. There you go, below the deck. Tell you what, I'm real happy with it. This has been a long time coming. I've been a lot of days of aggravation with those others. So, got a power log dog on the mill. Got power log stops. Fixing to put the modified log turner on here and have it working again. So essentially I'll be fully automated for the most part. So, I gotta tell you, this is going to be a pleasure to use. Thank you for watching.